Alright, so everyone, so this is Robin again. So we'll be starting our last module on the Azure-103 trainings. So we're going to talk about data services. All right. Okay, so we're going to do is first talk about the CDN, Content Delivery Network, and file sync. And then the second session, we'll talk about import and export service and data box. And yeah, so I will do another session actually to do the lab and review questions because actually each of this module contains 10 questions, so there is a 120 questions in total, and I haven't done any yet, right? But I will try to do some, so probably I won't do 120 questions, it's too much. So probably gonna pick, let's say, two questions from each module, and so sum up with 24 questions, and we're gonna do that in another sessions after this, right? So those questions will not be exam questions. So just to give you a warning, this is not exam questions, but they will help you to prepare for this exam. All right. Okay, let's get started for the lesson one on CDN. All right, we're gonna break things to benefits, how CDN works, CDN profiles, endpoints, TTL, and compression. So before I started the you know the benefits, right? The content delivery network, you can treat as a distributed network of servers which can effectively or efficiently deliver the content to users, right? And also, if you're a server guy from on-prem, not from on-prem, like a on-prem server guy, you know there is a thing we call branch cache, right? So that's similar to how the content delivery CDN works, right? So you don't have to really worry about you are too far from that server, so the access to the resource will limit to bandwidth, or always limit to bandwidth. So limit to bandwidth or the physical location, and you are too far from there. So that's what CDN essentially are doing. So it stores, cached content on edge servers, which are fairly close to your end user and are typically used to deliver static content such as images, sheets, documents, client-side scripts, or HTML pages, right? The main benefits here are listed. So low latency and faster delivery of content to user, regardless of their geographic location in relation to the data center where the application is hosted. And it helps to reduce the load on servers or application because it does not have to be, service request from the content that is hosted on the CDN. So, and some typical use for CDN includes delivery static resource contents, which is introduced, delivering public static and shared content to device, cell phone, tablet, computers, and serving entire websites that consist only public static contents to clients, right? Without like requiring any dedicated computing service. So how CDN works, right? There's 6 steps. So you can enable this Azure uh, CDN network, right, to cache content for the user. The Azure CDN is designed to send, images, videos, audios, and other files faster and more reliable to customer using server that close to the user, right? So this dramatically increase speed and availability. And something fun is we're gonna do that later. So if you create a CDN, right? Normally when we create a resource in Azure, we have to, right? Most of the time, or 99% of the time, we have to choose location, right? It's the Japan East, East Asia, or it's Hong Kong, or it's East US, West US, etc., right? But for CDN, you don't have to choose a location, so that's the benefit, right? It's everywhere, it's cached everywhere, right? So the 6 steps here, right? So the first, it's the user the request a file. So if the edge server is in the POP do not have the file in their cache, the edge server requests the file from the origin. So the origin can be your Azure web app, Azure cloud service, storage account. So in this case, let's say storage account or any web server. And the third step, the origin returns a file to the edge server, including the optional HTTP headers describing the file's TTL. And the next step, the edge server caches the file and returns the file to the original requester, let's say Bob, right? And the file remains cached on the edge server until the TTL expires. And the Azure CDN automatically applies a default TTL of the 7 days unless you set up a caching rule in the Azure portal. And next, the additional users may then request the same file using that same URL and may also be directed to the same pub. And the final step is if the TTL for the file has expired, the Edge server returns the file from the cache, which means it's cleared the cache. The next time someone requests again, it has to come to the origin, then return, then deliver to the closest location. But you don't have to worry about, oh, if the TTL expired, so when I request the file, it has to deliver to the edge again. So that's time delay. There will be time delay compared to the cached. However, the content delivering within the Azure network is really fast. Right? It's 10 gigabytes of network speed between data centers, so you don't have to worry anything about that. Right? So the CDN profile. So what's in the CDN profile? It's essentially a collection of the CDN endpoints with the same pricing tier and provider. So the origin, right? You may create multiple profiles to organize endpoints. For example, you could have profiles with endpoints to different internet domains, web applications, or storage accounts. So you can create up to 8 CDN profiles per subscription. And you can create a CDN profile from the Azure portal. The CDN service is global, but not bound to a location, right? However, you must specify a resource group a location where the metadata associated with the CDN profile resides. So this location will not have any impact on the runtime availability of your profile. And several pricing tiers are available. You see here, right? The Microsoft, Verizon, right? Okay, so this location will, yeah. So this time of writing, there's 4 tiers as we listed. So the pricing is based on the terabytes of outbound data transfers. As for how much, I don't remember, but you just have to click the full pricing details. I'm not really a subscription guy. I'm sorry. Right, the endpoints, right? The So when you create the CDN endpoints, right, directly from the profile blade, you can do that. So if I go to here, no, not available here, but yeah, it will be on the page. We're gonna show you that later, right? So it will port for the endpoint name, origin type, and origin host name. So to access the cached content on the CDN, use the CDN URL providing the portal. So in this case, there are 4 choice for origin type, storage accounts, storage cloud service, web app, cloud, and the custom origin. So here we are focusing on the storage CDNs. When you select storage as the origin type, the new CDN endpoints using the host name of your storage account will as the origin server. So there are additional CDN features for you to deliver, such as the compression, query string, and geo-filtering. So you can also add custom domain mapping to your CDN endpoints and enable your custom domains HTTPS. So these options are configured in the settings blade for the endpoints. Yeah, and here is where we configure the TTL. So needless to say, it was a TTL is 4, right? And CDN compression, right? So improve the file transfer speed and increase page load performance. So the file compression is a simple and effective method to improve the file transfer speed and increase the page load performance by reducing file size before it is sent from the server. Uh, so the enable the compression on your origin server. So in this case, the CDN pass along the compressed files and deliver them to the clients that request them. Enable the compression directly on the CDN Edge server. So in this case, the CDN compression the file and the server then serve them to the end user, enabling the compression in the center tier in the Azure portal. You can enable compression and modify the mem types listed to tune which content formats to compress as well. So although it is possible, it's not recommended to apply the compression to compressed formats like zip file, right? They're already compressed, or JPEG, or MP3 or MP4, right? Etc. Etc. Okay. So now let's go to Azure here. All right. So to create a CDN, you can already search the content delivery network. It's not available here, right? You have to go to here. Actually, just go to let's say home, right? You have to create a resource, then type in CDN here, right? This is where you create a CDN. It's uh, quite funny as well. So what create the create button will be the same UI you saw later, right? So create a new endpoint now. It will tell us to give it the name, origin type, if a storage will ask for the host name, etc., etc. Right? So I already created one. So let me go to my resource, AZCDN, right? So this one here. And there's not much to be done after that. So we create a endpoints. So here, so my Azure demo dot blah 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 blah. So this one I have created. So the thing you might want to do is customize your uh, let's say the domain name, for example, right? You don't really, for example, what I did here is, Zotos. I use my own domain to do that, right? Just simply create a CNAME records for that. So if I go to GoDaddy, you can see how that's being done, right? Just click custom domain, right? Host name, you just have to create a CNAME for this one, right? Just add your domain and verification. Why it's in Japanese? Can I change this to? Ooh, there's no Ian, my bad. Probably just delete this, right? It's much better. Uh, why it's in Japanese? US? Oh, I don't know how this works for GoDaddy. What's wrong with you? Let's see. GoDaddy Singapore. Okay. I'm okay with Singapore. I do not wish you to see my login. My bad. But I'm really happy that it supports WeChat now. WeChat login. So if you have a WeChat ID, you can log in from there, right? Let me just go here. So the Zotosoft one, DNS. Alright, I can see I added a CNAME here, which is CDN, and that's the one. After do that, just click verify, right? Just simply click verify, and it will verify, right? And once it's verified, you can have your own domain there, right? So, ooh, this has not been complete yet. Okay, your request has been proceed. I haven't done this, so yeah, I have to done this. I have to do all this, right? And I will provide a provision as certificates and final step. So okay, never mind. I will verify this later. So this will take a while. Actually, that's why I didn't do the demo in here. This step takes 5 minutes. This one gonna take, I don't know, maybe another 5 minutes, right? So that's why I didn't do this one. Okay, but you get the big picture. So let's continue on the file sync. Okay, this one is easy, right? I'll just tell you, it's like OneDrive. It's like OneDrive, except you make it more complicated, where you sync with the infrastructure as a service, not the software as a service. Simply put that way. So there were many use and advantage to use a file sync. So lift and shift, so ability to move applications that requires access between Azure and on-premises system. So provide the right access to the same data across the Windows Server and Azure files. So this let the company with the multiple office have a need to share files with all office, right? And second is branch office. The branch office need to back up files, or we need to set up a newer server that will connect to Azure storage. And third, backup and disaster recovery. So once while file sync is implemented, the Azure backup will back up your on-premises data. Also, you can restore file metadata immediately and recall data if needed for rapid disaster recovery. And the last is file archiving. So only recently, because data is located on your local server, non-used data moves to Azure in what is called the cloud tiering. Right. So the cloud tiering is the optional feature for Azure File Sync in which the frequently accessed files are cached locally on the server, while all other files are tiered to Azure file based on the policy settings. So use the Azure File Sync to centralize your company's file share in Azure Files. We are keeping the flexibility, performance, and compatibility for on-premise file server. Okay, that's pretty much the benefits, right? The compared to OneDrive is only for the end user, right? You just sync your files there, documents there. But for this one, we can sync something on your server and share within your entire organization, and not just files, your web applications and everything else. Okay. And the components, well, there are so many, right? I hate, but there are so many. So the storage sync service is the top level Azure resource for the Azure file sync. Right? The storage sync service resource is a peer of the storage account resource, and it can simply similarly be deployed to Azure Resource Group, a distinct top-level resource from the Azure storage account resource is required because the storage sync service can create a sync relation between multiple storage accounts via the multiple sync groups. A subscription can have multiple storage sync service resource deployed sync groups. A sync group defines the sync topology for a set of files. The endpoints within a sync group are kept in sync with each other. If, for example, you have two distinct set of files you want to manage with Azure File Sync, you would create two sync groups and add different endpoints to each sync group. A storage sync service can host as many sync groups as you need. Register server. The register server object represents a trust relationship between your servers and the storage sync service. You can register as many servers to the storage sync service instance as you want. However, a server can be registered with only one storage sync service at a time. The Azure File Sync Agent. The Azure File Sync Agent is the downloadable package that enables the Windows Server to be synced with the Azure File Share, which we're gonna see later, but I'm not gonna demonstrate. Right, we're gonna see the picture. Right. So there are three main components here. Right. The file sync svc.exe, the background Windows service that is responsible for the monitoring changes on server endpoints and for initiating sync sessions to the Azure. And the second one is the what do you call it, the Azure Sync.sys, right? So the system file systems filter, which is responsible for tiering files to Azure files, and the PowerShell management commands, right? Okay. So the four steps to do it, it's fairly simple actually. Deploy the storage sync service, right? Just create a Azure file sync, and everything here is very simple, right? Just give it a name, subscription, and the resource group, and choose the location. And here to remember, the location you choose must have a storage account, and the storage account you must create a file share if we're syncing the file share, right? You must sync the file share. So there are prerogatives not listed. Prepare your Windows Server, so it's nothing actually to be prepared. You just have to install the file sync agent, which is you log in. After you log in, just provide the subscription resource group and the storage sync service, which is the one you created here, right? That's the registering type. Okay. Now we're gonna just go here for the demo. We're gonna not talk about the PowerPoint, right? So if I jump in here, and what you do is you go to here and you again same create a resource, right? You cannot search Azure File Sync in here. See, it's not available. You have to do it here, right? Azure File. Right, that's the one you create. So I'm not just created, it's already been created, right? So I'll just go here in my, where's it? Yeah, so it's this one. So I'm gonna go to my home, my resource group, go to my data. So I already created one here, right? So there's a storage sync service, right? This is the one I created. Okay. No, thank you. I have one here, right? And you have to create a sync group. Then along this, as I mentioned, so create that simple, you have to register your Windows Server, right? So which is essentially you install the this one, Storage Sync agent, right? You have to install this one. So Azure Storage Sync agent updater. Oh, It's only updated then after install, right? So it's a one-time thing. It's updater. Okay, that's it, right? There's nothing else to do. So just do it for once. That's it. Okay. And I have one file share here, which is which is just called share, and I have one file inside which is called demo, and within it's just a demo, right? Nothing special there. Okay, and we switch back to the portal. So create a sync group within and add a server endpoints. So we're going to do is register the server. So it's already been registered. I don't have another server. So if it's the first time you do it, and you install the agent, you will see the server be listed. You specify the path, right? So I'm going to just click into this one so you can see. So that's my server and the local path for that file share, right? Resource ID, I don't have to care, it's auto filled, right? So that's it. So I sync this. You ask, okay, where's the file to sync, right? So that one is actually in my. Let me go to my. So it's in my storage account actually. So go to the Azure file share, right? Right. That's the one, right? The demo txt. That's the file I have, right? That's how I access the file anyway, right? So from here, you can now understand you can use the actually uh, the file explorer we talked about, right, in previous sessions to access this content. Okay, I can download that, no problem, and open that's demo, right? That's the one I have. Okay, simple as that. So there's our first session for the last module.